Hey guys, Evacso here. Today I've got FC25 realistic sliders for world class difficulty. I've got two slider sets. So these sliders are for all matches. So I've got one set for 10-minute halves. These can also be used to 9-minute halves as well. And then I'll have the shorter game sliders after I've showed you my longer half sliders. So there's a few changes in FC25. I am really loving it, especially like the CPU sliders. I'll show you just at the moment. I haven't really changed too much, but I have been like playing around with a couple, especially like shot frequency. I'll put this a little bit lower. So I've been playing with about 45 for the CPU. They're just taking probably a little bit too many long shots. And the only other thing is probably maybe put the tackle aggression down, because they're pretty like crazy at the moment. I think build up speed is all good. First touch, pass frequency, you can put this down a little bit lower too. This is only for the world class difficulty though. I'll probably like change them up for the different difficulties though. But besides that, the rest are on default. So into the match settings. So the difficulty level at world class, obviously, there doesn't seem to be any game speed. You know, I've always had it on slow game speed. It just seems like there's the one set. I'm not sure why they would have taken that out, but there's no setting to change. Everybody has the same set. Into the camera settings. So keeping it at broadcast camera settings, you just go custom camera settings, height 0, zoom 0, far side focus on 5, ball tracking speed on 0. Now before I show you my sliders, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot of these sliders. All the difficulties are coming through. I'm going to be updating them a lot more regularly this year. Okay, I'm used to saying into the user sliders, but the sliders are all on the same page. I actually like this because you can actually see the differences. You can change. It seems to be a lot quicker. You can do it. Anyway, gameplay type, have it on custom. Don't switch this, especially if you put these sliders in. Don't switch this. I've switched it a few times already, and I've totally lost all my sliders. Make sure, don't flick this, okay? Don't flick this. I'm scared to just have it on there. Wind effects, have that on off. Weather effects, have it on off. Like, you can if you want, but yeah, I wouldn't do it. Sprint speed on 47, and the CPU sprint speed is also on 47, user and CPU. And you can also see the acceleration, and this is weird. Acceleration for users, acceleration for CPU. This is all on 47. Last year I had the sprint speed on 0. This year you can't do that. Don't do that. Acceleration has to be at least in the 40s. And at some point I will have the CPU having a little bit more acceleration just to make it more difficult. But at first, like everybody, they're just trying to get into the game. You know, the game is a little bit different. Just getting used to it at the moment. Shot area is both on 57. This is a lot lower than last year as well. But if you're finding it a little bit too easy to score goals, you can put this up to 60 shot error just for the users. Pass error at 56 for users, and pass error is at 60. So the reason I've got the difference is you'll find that the line height is increased a lot. So with a higher line height, the CPU can really make those through balls coming through, and they seem to be ridiculous at passing those through balls. Shot speed is at both at 50. Again, if you're scoring too many goals, you can put this down to 48 shot speed. Pass speed is 44 for users, and the CPU is 42. Injury frequency at 60 for user and CPU, and severity is at 30 for both user and CPU. Goal capability at 50. I haven't even touched that yet, so that might change it. You know, some of these things will be changing maybe by 1 or 2. So that might be one that might be changing. Marking is at 70 for users, and the CPU is also on 70. Now I was having this at 68 for a while. It wasn't until I increased the line height and those through balls were coming in a lot more. I put the pass error up, but I also increased the marking. Run frequency at 45 for users and CPU. Now line height, this is one of the biggest changes this year. I used to have this at 50 last year. I might even be putting this up even higher. It's very weird. The defense really backs off a lot. They just go straight into the box to defend. Like, there's been so many times where I've got a ball and I'm thinking, oh, looks like a great through ball, thinking I'm playing it to my winger, like going on for goal, and the fullback's just 30 meters back, even further. It's just like, oh, where did he come from? Because I got the broadcast camera, you don't see that, and I've lost the ball too many times to that. So I'm just slowly increasing this. You can try this at 75 because it will just create more attacking chances. But having users up to 75 does mean your centre backs might struggle. So if you have slow centre backs and putting this up to 75, you will be struggling, even if you're like really trying to mark that striker. Line length at 28 for both user and CPU. I'm just continually going down because I had this at 35 before, went down to 30. I even tried it at 25 for a bit. I brought it back up to 28. But this year, the game is really open. It's like, if you have the ball, you're going for an attack. You know, it's not just this slow build-up. I haven't figured out a way to make the game a little bit slower, especially with there's no game speed. So the game just seems to be very quick, and you can't close it down without those chances stopping as well, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm trying to keep the game as realistic as possible and the scoreline as realistic as possible. Anyways, line width at 49 for both user and CPU. Fullback positioning at 60 for both user and CPU. Now, if you've got like attacking wing backs, you'll notice this will be very good. But if you've got your defenders on normal defense and tactics, they won't really be attacking. That's the only problem. It's like wing backs go up heaps and the defensive one just doesn't do anything. It's just very hard to balance it right now. I've been flicking this a lot right now. I think EA just needs to make the defenders one just attack a little bit more at the moment. Now, I've got power bar at 52. That's just sort of my preference at the moment. You can put this one up to 55 if you're struggling a little bit. And obviously, if you find it easy, you can put this down to 50. First touch control error, 55 for user and CPU. I had to lower this down a lot because the CPUs are very aggressive in defending. Obviously, I can lower the aggression even more, but I feel like in other areas of the game, like in the midfield, it's good. But in defense, it might change a little bit too much if I put this lower. Anyways, that's the longer half sliders. Now into the short game sliders. So the short game sliders, I've been trying these at 5-minute halves. Obviously, you can use these at 4-minute halves, 6-minute halves, and 7-minute halves. Got the same camera settings, so broadcast, height 0, zoom 0, fast height focus on 5, ball tracking speed on 0. So for my sliders, I've got sprint speed and acceleration, all the same. So user and CPU, all the same as the longer halves. Shot error at 55 for user and CPU. Now pass error, I got it at 53 for user and the 55 set for CPU. So again, because the line height's so high, put the pass error higher for the CPU so that those through balls can be not going through all the time, stopped sometimes. Shot speed at 51 for both user and CPU as well. Pass speed on 45 for user and CPU. Injury frequency at 60. Watch out because I might be changing this a fair bit during the year. I haven't been playing too many career mode matches so far. Like, I haven't been getting many injuries just as yet. So I'm just probably going to be changing this a fair bit. Severity is on 30 for both user and CPU. So again, that could be changing a lot. Goal capability at 50 for user and CPU. Marking is at 65 for user and then 60 for CPU. Obviously, if you're playing with a good team, you won't need this 5 advantage. You can put this down to probably like 62, especially if you like good defense. And the marking can be increased by 1 or 2, up to 61 or 62. Run frequency is at 50 for user and run frequency is at 45 for CPU. Because the game is a lot quicker in the short game sliders, it just seems like the CPU has more of an advantage. They seem like they're harder with the short game sliders than the longer half sliders. So that's why I made a few different changes. Give a bit more advantage for the user. So an extra 5 for the run frequency. Line height at 70 for both user and CPU. Just like the longer halves. Line length at 35 for user and CPU. This could be changing a lot because I was testing this out at 25. And I thought they were really good for about 5 games or so. And everything was going well. Until then, I hit it like a really bad patch of form. And I just lost like about 5-6 games in a row. Couldn't score any goals. So I had to increase it. And I increased it both for user and CPU. And it just seemed to be a lot better for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe there was a recent patch that I just sort of missed in sliders. But yeah, big jump. Line width at 50 for user and CPU. You can put this up by 1 or 2 if you're not making enough chances. Fullback positioning is at 70 for user and CPU, so a lot higher than the longer half-siders. Like I said before, where the wing backs are very good, but then the defenders, the normal defensive tactics, they don't seem to really go up at all. Power bar, I kept this at 52 as well for these sliders, and the first touch control error is at 55 for both user and CPU. So those are the sliders for world class difficulty for both sets. I'm welcome to all comments, anything if these are too easy, too hard, not scoring enough goals, any sort of thing that you have on your mind, please comment, because I'm going to be updating these sliders very regularly. Also, one more thing, I did try these sliders on legendary difficulty and they seem pretty good. Like, I didn't really need to change too much. I will be doing legendary difficulty sliders, they'll probably be coming out in a few days as well. But yeah, probably not too much changes like last year. It should be very similar, but world class seems like it is the best difficulty again this year. But I will be doing professional difficulty as well, sliders, and if I can do well, I'll put out ultimate difficulty sliders as well. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you guys later.